netball called a chest pass, right? And I used to get them in the face.
I just wanted to know that she respects the game of netball.
What even is netball?
Harrison, you are a freak! This is the sport evolving at its very best. Unbelievable. Can you believe it? It's all over! New Zealand have won the World Cup!
No mai ki te hōtaka o te poitara whiti kiwi. I'm Bridget Tunnicliffe, and for this episode we're looking at the ANZ Premiership, the teams that didn't make it, the grand final this weekend, who could take out the title and who might make the next Silver Ferns squad. To help me do that is Southland stalwart and former Silver Fern Wendy Frew, and Dion Te Whetu also grew up in Southland, now based in Wellington, has an impressive coaching CV, taking NPC and age group size to national titles, and is currently the head coach of Hong Kong. Welcome. So you two know each other? You crossed paths on the netball scene down south?
Yeah, for sure. I was lucky enough to have Dion coach me, so that was pretty cool for the old St Mary's. And yeah, we had some success under him. So certainly a remarkable coach, and huge credit for a lot of the work behind the scenes to get where he has. So yeah, shot Dion. It's awesome.
And Dion, what are you able to do as coach of Hong Kong with the COVID situation? Have you actually been able to get over there?
No, is the short answer to that. So everything is being done online, and so watching the trainings online. And I've got a couple of assistant coaches over there who are doing a great job in trying to decipher my gibberish emails that I send through for the trainings. So I managed to get over there before I was signed, but that's the last time I was there, which was January last year.
Wendy, commiserations. Your Steel couldn't get over the tactics on the weekend, but they've exceeded expectations this year. They've also confirmed the signing of George Fisher for another year. They've got a lot to be excited about going forward.
Yeah, they'll certainly be disappointed with the loss over the tactics, but in my view of it, I just feel like they didn't fire enough to get the win. I think the tactics deserved the win. They played a pretty clinical game. I thought Tupai played excellent at goal attack, and I think when she plays well, the tactics are on fire and they're winning games. So good for Teeps, like she's a good mate of mine, and Jane. So obviously I'm a Steel girl at heart, but I think, yeah, the tactics were a skillful side and they deserve the win. But I think there's a huge, bright future for the Steel. They've got lots of young players coming through, and they really played well throughout the whole season and just fell short. So I think they'll be able to hold their heads high after the season.
Dion, the combination between Fisher and Tian Matuaro, they just complemented each other so well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And I can't help but think, if I'm looking at the way Tiana played this year, she's had a lot of court time. She's been able to express herself. I think potentially Jo Morrison has had, quite a bit to do with the way those two girls are playing. She was, a great player herself. And just that court craft that I've seen between those two players, I think has come to the fore under Jo's tutelage.
Wendy, Shannon Saunders has spent most of her time this year at wing attack, Kate Heffernan at centre. There's a lot to like about that combo, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Shan's had one of her better seasons. She always plays well. She's consistent. She's fit and fast. But for her playing in that wing attack role, I think it's been really good for her. Her attacking play, her feeding. And obviously she's, really handy on defence as a wing attack too. So great combination, and Kate Heffernan's only going to get better with time and experience. Pretty tough night at the office against the tactics for her, but she's young in that position and she's got a big future too. So great combination, and yeah, I love seeing obviously Shan do well. She's an excellent player and she just gets better with age.
Touching on the other teams who didn't make it, the Stars finishing fourth after such a dominant start. Dion, by rights, they should have won that game a couple of weeks ago against the Steel. That loss knocked them out of finals contention, but to have that many more attempts, shooting accuracy just killed them over the last few rounds.
Yeah, maybe the pressure got to them. Maybe there were some outside influences of things that were going on that might have hindered their progress there. But yes, they probably should have won that game.
Wendy, the Stars have had a lot of changes over the years. I think Maya Wilson is the only player who was there from the inaugural season in 2017. So actually holding on to a majority of their players for next year, could that be key for them?
Yeah, I think it'd be key. They'll take a lot of learnings from the season. They're the top team at the start of the season, winning. For them, they're an experienced team, and they'll be looking back in the next few weeks really disappointed with the end of the season. They had a lot more potential than they showed, and just throughout all areas of the court, they just really battled. So they'll be disappointed with that. But yeah, they're once again a couple of young players in there, and if they can keep a majority of the group, then I'm sure there'll be a lot of learnings from the end of the season, and they'll take that forward, and it'll be a positive outcome for them come next season.
And how about Anna Harrison, Wendy? Whether this was her last season or not, the sport will miss her when she does eventually retire.
Yeah, I mean, she's been around for a long time. She's a great player and so much experience in there. So unsure, what her plans are, but she's bringing Ellie Teamer on really well, and she's growing her as a player. So I think that's a real positive out of this year for the Stars, is the growth of Ellie Teamer under Anna, getting a lot of guidance in that circle defence role. But yeah, she's a great athlete, Anna, and credit to her playing with 3 kids. It's huge.
Magic, the bottom of the ladder this year, a tough year. Mary Jane Araroa will take over from Amy G. Metcalf next year. Dion, that final game they had against the Stars, Anna Harrison had a blinder, but the amount of bad passes the Magic threw, it was a bit poor at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I guess it's on the day, and I'm not quite sure what went wrong there, to be honest. But I guess it's all learnings. It's all things to step back and have a look at going into the 2022 season.
Wendy, Captain Sam Winders always puts on a brave face, but she did look pretty frustrated by the end of the season. She had a lot to carry this year.
Yeah, she had a lot to carry. I actually feel pretty sorry for her, but I mean, that's part of the job, being a captain. When you're winning, it's great, and the hype's good, but that's the downside of being an unsuccessful team. And she had to man up with the media, and she did that really well. So yeah, I definitely felt for her. What I loved about Sam this year, I feel like she just grinded out and tried to play her own game, and tried to get the team up, and at times they couldn't. And I think she's certainly played well for the Magic, but just didn't have a lot of support around her at times. So yeah, pretty hard on her, but I mean, that's just part of the captaincy role. You got to take the good with the bad.
Australian diamond Caitlin Bassett goal shoot for the Magic must have found it a bit frustrating, looked frustrated at times. Dion, was she fed well? I can't help feel that if she'd been at one of the other franchises, she would have had a better season.
I mean, she's world class, isn't she? And she's proven that time and time again in the past. I can't help but feel that she was probably more caught up in bringing the younger ones along, which is a great thing. But if you look at Kiana Williams, the way she's developed this year, I think that she's absolutely thrived playing in the circle with Seabass, and what a treat to be playing with a player of her caliber. But I think you could sense the frustration, and I guess they probably could have looked into the circle a lot sooner to her. She was doing some good leads. She was available quite a lot under the post, but it's just a matter of looking into the circle for your world class shooter.
The Magic defensive end, Timalisi Whakahokotau, would probably take out the prize for the most taped player this year, dealing with a few injury niggles there. She probably missed Jane Watson. But generally, Wendy, the Magic defenders, great as individual defenders, but they just didn't seem to complement each other that well.
Yeah, I don't think they gelled. I think at times one of them, you have 4 down that defensive end, 3 of them were in the drop style or the man style, and one player unfortunately wasn't doing it, and there's a different player all the time. It wasn't one person always out of the structure, so I think that really hurt them. They are a bunch of good players, but they just didn't gel together, and they didn't connect. And you got a feel for the Magic team. They were trying hard all season, but sometimes it just there's just no answers. And I'm sure they looked at lots of videos and seen where they can improve, but it just didn't happen. But yeah, defensively, some good players just didn't perform, is pretty much how I'd sum it up.
Okay, the Poles finished 5th. Disappointing season for the defending champs, but the big news, hot off the press, Vet McCausland-Jury is returning as head coach for 2022. Dion, that's huge for the Poles, isn't it?
Yeah, that's probably that's a shining light at the end of what's been a tough season for the Pulse. Yvette's just class. She comes with a lot of experience. She's I think she will rally that team together for 2022. She's incredibly well organised. Yeah, I think having her sign will make it a lot easier for them to re-sign players and potentially attract some other names into that team should they need them.
Okay, so let's look at the last team standing. The Mainland Tactics and Northern Mystics meet in the grand final this Sunday. The Tactics combination between Jane Watson and Karen Berger has been on fire. That was on show in the elimination final against the Steel. Dion, you coached Karen when she was coming through the ranks in Wellington. You're a mentor to her. Her form right now, did you know she had it in her when you were coaching her, back in the NPC days?
Yeah, absolutely. I watched her in the 2014 NPC tournament. She was playing for Hutt Valley, and I just looked at her. She was an absolute raw talent. She used to play club against the club team that I coached in Wellington. I guess it was just a matter of helping her along her journey and sitting down with her and understanding where she wanted to go. It was always clear that she came over here with the intention to play for the Silver Ferns. When you come over here as a 17, 18-year-old by yourself, with the intention of becoming a Silver Fern, it's pretty easy to steer that person towards the right people, for her to show her full talent. And I was having a joke with her a couple of weeks ago. I asked her if it was the new shoes that she's wearing, but you look at how her and Jane have combined, and just their stats alone, it's outstanding.
Wendy, the Tactics shooting end, a lot rests, you'd have to think, on how Tapaya Selby-Ricker and Ellie Bird cope with the attention of the Mystics defenders come the grand final. Is that where it could be won or lost?
Yeah, I think it is, to be honest. The Tactics shooters, when they're on, they're hard to stop. That shooter. If they've got that on, I don't think any teams can get in there and get intercepts off that shooter that Teeps gives. But they're a good combo. They're just a wee bit inconsistent as a combo. So the Tactics want to get up. They both need to have good games, like what they did against the Steel. I think they both played pretty good. There was the odd mistake here and there, but that's what happens at this level. You can't have a perfect game, but certainly a lot will be hinging on that attack end. And for me, they haven't got that experience at wing attack centre. So really, I think Teeps needs to lead that attack end and be dominant.
Dion, you've had a little bit to do with the Tactics and observation capacity, courtside for a few of the games. What's it like observing the way Marianne Delaney-Hoschak operates? I like the way you see her go up and down the line to the players, giving each player a little bit of advice. What's she like as a coach?
Yeah, she's cool, Like her and Julie, they complement each other so well. I think Marianne brings that feeling of vulnerability that the girls can be very open with her. She gets right in amongst it at trainings, and there's the fun factor, but she also can lay down the law when she needs to. And I think in this high pressure environment of the ANZ competition, you need someone that's that holds their distance and doesn't want to try and be your friend, but also is there as someone that if you need them, they're there, but also is firm enough to let you know when things need to tighten up.
Okay, so the Mystics finished top of the table with franchise's first final in a long, long time. Wendy, we've got to mention Sulu Fitzpatrick. Man, she's led the team well, hasn't she?
Oh, she's an outstanding leader, and I've loved watching her and listening to her this season. She's led from the front. She's great for the game of netball, so really proud of her and what she's doing with that Mystic side.
Dion, Grace Wekier, she's so young, will only get better. With her in the side for potentially years to come, Mystics could really dominate the competition for the foreseeable future. Yeah,
absolutely. Grace has really been a standout this year. She's sitting at 89% off 794 shots at goal. 889. That's a huge amount to put up, and for someone so young, she's just showing a level of maturity that belies her age. Huge future ahead of her. Can't wait to see her in the black dress, if I'm being honest.
So who are we picking to win the final? Wendy, is there a favourite?
Oh, you got to go for Mystics being favourites. I think, they deserve the favourite tag there. But for me, I think the Tactics can do it. As we talked about, it comes down to a bit of the shooting. But I think if that number one team, obviously they had a game this weekend, but nothing beats a game of ANZ like the Tactics have just had against the Steel. So for me, I think we might see Tactics coming out of the block pretty good and efficient out there. But I think it'll either blow out and the Mystics will win or the Tactics will just win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Dion, do you have a feeling which way it'll go?
Look, I've got my eye patch on with the red and black, obviously, but I think it'll be on the day. I think it'll come down to how the Tactics defence play. I think the Tactics attack end will take care of itself. I think they proved that in their last game. And I think if Jane and Curran can just shuffle things round a little bit and their outside defenders get over Toiava, just to block her vision into feeding Grace with that quick pass, beautiful pass I might add, then I think the Tactics could get up.
Yeah, I don't know which way it's going to go. I think it's going to be a great game. Okay, let's have a look at who might make the Silver Ferns squad, which will be named a couple of days after the grand final. Let's start with the shooting end. That must be giving the selectors a few headaches. You've got some young goal attacks who've been showing up some of the Silver Ferns incumbents, really. Jamie Hume, Tiana Maturo, Kiana Williams sit in the top 10 for goals. Mez and Selby Ricker outside of that top 10. What do you do as a selector, Wendy? Some of it's based on experience and knowing what those players can do, right?
Yeah, you've obviously got to have that mix with the experienced players and those players you can put out there in the black dress and perform against Australians. But it's also important to develop, one player in maybe each of those thirds. So I think for the Ferns, talking about the shooters, you can't go past Tiana. She's had a fantastic season. She's been strong for the Steel and I think deserves to be in that black dress. But yeah, I think for the selectors, they know who can perform. The Mezes, the Selby Ricketts, they know what they do in the black dress. But I think it'll be exciting to see one up and coming player in that black dress. And for me, I don't think they can go past Tiana.
Dion, if you had to pick one newbie, who would it be? Which goal attack?
Yeah, look, I was looking at Hume and Maturo, but I look at Tiana and the way she's come along this year. She's got a higher centre pass receive. Her shooting stats are higher. And for me, I guess as a coach, I look at her court craft and I can't go past her either as a newbie. I wholeheartedly agree with what Wendy's saying.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely come down between Hume and Maturo. Maya Wilson hasn't had the happiest of seasons for her franchise, but I'm sure she's going to find her happy place back in the Silver Ferns. Grace Weke, though, she's got to be named, right?
Well, yeah, it comes down to we all know the Ferns have a fitness target they've got to hit, so it depends if Grace hits that. I don't know what she hits in the fitness testing and that, but yeah, in terms of her performance on the court, she'd definitely be your number one pick. She's outstanding. She's just going to keep growing and growing, so it'd be great to see her in the black dress.
Moving to the mid-court, there was already a log jam there. I think that jam's getting even bigger and some fine mid-courters are going to miss out. You look at the incumbents, they've all had pretty good seasons really, but I think I would love to see Kate Heffernan promoted to that Silver Ferns squad. She's been so good this year, transitioned well in that centre position. And Dion, she offers a point of difference, doesn't she? She's a bit different with her height.
She is, and I think if you were looking forward as an international coach, for me, she's been playing outstanding. She's tall, she's rangy, she's got that real southern grit to her game. But for me, it's her defense. A lot of players try and pass the ball, left or right of her, and you'd be silly to try and go over Kate. I think she just, for me, I think we'll look back in 5 or 6 years' time, and I think she'll be an absolute mainstay in that mid-court for the Silver Ferns.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. Given you've got Crampton, good season, Souness, really good season, Saunders, brilliant season at wing attack. Despite how exciting Peta Tuiava is, and she's had a really consistent season this year, I mean, is there room for her?
Yeah, Peta's had a great season. She's just growing this year, her combination with Grace. Interesting if she can do that with other shooters. She's been playing with Grace a few years and they've built that combination that is at times unstoppable. So the question is there, maybe if Grace made the Ferns, they potentially would pick her, but the wing attack position, as you said, you just mentioned the 4 names, there's 4 wing attacks who have played very good this season. So probably 2 of those are going to miss out, and it's going to be a huge talking point when that squad's named. I think, it's definitely the strength of the Ferns at the moment is that mid-court.
Dion, what are your thoughts on Peta?
Look, I think she's a great player. I guess when I'm watching her play, she's got it all. I think for me, the downsides would be how many times has she had to hit the circle edge before she feeds? If you don't have Grace in the shooting circle, how does she go? And then I look at, if she's got a 6 foot tall, nuggety Australian wing defence that's just going to sit on her the whole game and just be standing in front of her with her arms held up high when she's trying to pass the ball, then how does she go?
Yeah. I do wonder if in time to come, whether Claire Kirsten might drop down the pecking order. She started the Constellation Cup at centre. By the last test, Poi was starting at centre, and Poi's really got that X factor, hasn't she? And then if we see a Heffernan promoted, is there room for Kirsten?
Yeah, as I said, that mid-court's pretty stacked, but I think Claire's, she's always consistent, but for me, she's probably had one of her tougher seasons in there. I think you'd probably look for a younger Poi over her, or, Kate Heffernan developing her in that black dress. I do rate Claire. She is a good gutsy player, but I think looking forward for the future, how long would she be around, and would you select her over those young up-and-comers who have potentially had a little bit better form than her this ANZ?
Right, the defensive end, Sula Fitzpatrick, Jane Watson, Kartenberger pick themselves. Kelly Jury was dropped from a Con Cup series due to fitness. I think she'll be well and truly have that fitness back after a season at goal defence. Dion, do you think she'll be named? I mean, Nolan quite likes having the option of a taller defender, doesn't she?
Yeah, I think she does, and I think Kelly has, she's added something else to her basket by playing goal defence this year, and I think we all know she can play goalkeeper and play it very well. It's nice to know that I'm very confident she's up to the fitness standard that's required. So it's nice to know that we've got a very tall defender that can run out the front or sit at the back. So yeah, I think she should definitely be chosen, but I'm not the Dane.
Yep. We don't know for sure if Katrina Rore will be available. She's still a very new mum. Phoenix Karaka has said she wants back, so I'm thinking maybe we'll see her in the development squad as she works her way back to fitness after having her first child. Does leave it open for at least one new face in the defensive end. I think Ali Temu has been great this season, but still pretty fresh. Tanisha Fafita, her foot speed this year has been really good, getting a bit more savvy around getting around the body. Kate Burley. Dion, what about Kate? I think she's formed a really good defensive combination with Sulu as well.
Yeah, she has. Kate's, she's a come forward style of defender. It's just a pity she's not a few inches taller, but she makes up for that in her athleticism. I've bracketed Tanisha Fafita. If you look at Tanisha's stats this year, she's 4th across the board in rebounds, deflections, and intercepts, which is pretty impressive. With the likes of Carden and Jane, who can both run out the front in the goal D position, I think, are we going to look at another goal keep to come in and fill that position? I don't know if Tanisha's up to running around at goal D, but I think, stats don't lie, and she's had a great season.
Wendy, if you had to pick one new face in the Silver Ferns defensive end, who would it be?
Yeah, I think Dan's got some great points about Fafita. I think she's had a really good season, and I think what's helped her is Hoochie in front of her. She's so experienced, and I know she's taught Tanisha a lot. So yeah, I'd be looking at Tanisha. She's played a great season. As Dion said, stats are remarkable. And what I like about her also is she started off the season with, getting blown out of the game, but she's worked on that really hard and cleaned her game up and learned how to defend with what the umpires are calling. So yeah, she'd definitely be a pretty good target for that black dress.
Okay, and just finally, with Amelia and Ekanasio unavailable this year, a standing captain will be named at some stage. Wendy, I think Sully Fitzpatrick would do a fabulous job, but with Jane Watson and Carden Berger's combination being so strong, you got to wonder how much court time would Sulu get. And ideally, you want your captain to be a starter, don't you?
Yeah, great point there, actually. I think it's pretty important that a captain of any team is a starter. So for me, I'd be looking at Jane Watson. She's a talker. She can play goalkeep, goalie. She's experienced and she's been in that leadership group too. So Sulu was a great leader, but you don't know if she would get that consistent court time in that black dress. So I think it'd be important to have Jane-O out there. And also, Jane can play that goal defence role, and it's important to get that voice up the court.
Dion, who do you think's in line?
I'm looking at Crampton, just someone that can talk to the far end of both courts. Both ends of the court. I think she lets her game do the talking. Jane, for me, is absolutely a co-captain / captain if Crampton's off the court. I think Jane offers great team unity side to her, and also as a straight talker, as most people know. But for me, I would be looking at Crampton.